I have been playing Minecraft for over 8 years, and I actually started out as a redstoner slash contraption maker. I would spend many an hour in test worlds like these working on all sorts of gizmos and ideas, things that we could automate and use inside of the game using redstone. And so in this video I'm actually going to go over a select bunch of contraptions that I released all those years ago and give you kind of a walkthrough of my redstoning journey in this wonderful computer game. And so our journey begins with the very first contraption that I uploaded to YouTube. This was also my first attempt to make a building look decent, and I believe that I failed at doing that. The redstone, however, works wonderfully. This contraption is a charm. Melons will grow on one side, pumpkins will grow on the other, and then you stand on the pressure plate, the pistons get activated, and all of the drops get delivered to you. And I believe that this still works to this day. And yes, hi, I'm a Steve, because we're playing on old Minecrafts. So I made a few more contraptions here and there, but it didn't take long for me to want to really scale up my efforts, and that's when I recreated the classic game Lights Out inside of Minecraft. The objective of this game is to turn out all the lights, so I had an interface over here. You could press a button and then you could toggle some of the lights. As you can see, it is not a simple puzzle. It was also not that simple to make. As you'll see, there is a lot of redstone on display, especially when I come around to this side over here. Oh my goodness me. Look at this, utterly ridiculous. Now I will say that this isn't terribly compact, but it does work. And I remember spending a lot of time at work scribbling down notes, figuring out how all of this would work before I even jumped into the game. And if you look at how the whole contraption is color-coded, then you'll realize that this is actually just broken down into a handful of different parts to make it work. And according to this sign, it took me over 6 hours to make. I'm actually really impressed with that. I seem to remember it taking me a lot longer, but there you go, apparently it took me 6 hours. This was a popular video back at the time. I remember getting some really great feedback about the faces on the front of this building. And I wouldn't have called myself a builder at all back then, but this ceiling made out of leaf blocks, it's kind of fancy and different. Oh my goodness me, yeah, I used to hide these Easter eggs in my old world downloads. Little chest of diamonds to find somewhere on the map. But let's talk about the redstone. I've been developing the animal breeding machines for some time, but this was the first instance where they became really quite compacted and relatively simple. So we got to check this out. I believe you press this button to bring out the animals. You then breed them, of course. Well, I'm not in Minecraft 1.1 right now, so maybe that's why the baby got separated. Of course, every time they updated the game, we had to make a new iteration of the game. Now that button is to send them back into their cells. You can also just use this button to rotate them as well. So if you want to do lots and lots of breeding, you can send them back and bring out the next ones as well. This also worked for mushrooms, cows and pigs, hence the faces at the front of the building. With me featuring so many of my old contraptions, there are plenty of videos I could tell you to go watch. But this one, the evolution of animal breeding machines, is one I think you'd particularly like. It'll be linked in the end cards at the end of the video, so stay around and watch that one after this. Now this is the advanced quick kit. I actually made a better version of this, but I'm going to show you the first one. And the idea is that you would use this machine after you died, and it would refill you with all the gear that you need, and it would put it into the correct slots on your hotbar that you desired. As well as that, it also had some rapid dispensers to give you lots and lots of torches and cobblestone and whatever else it was you needed. So then you'd walk into the contraption, press the button, and all of your items would be dispensed to you one by one. And then the rapid dispensing of these other items, and then you're all good to go. Now this was the better one that I made a few months later, known as the Ultimate Quick Kit. This one was a little bit more secure. You had a pressure plate and a button that you needed to press to activate the machine. It once again has the rapid dispensing. It also shoots arrows into this block, so on your way out you can pick some of those up. Now I think I'd like to revisit this idea because I thought that this one automatically equipped the armor onto you, but that wasn't in the game yet. However, if I were to remake it, I would definitely be doing that. And speaking of remakes, I actually remade this design just a couple of years ago, but this is the original. And this is a slime splitter. You have lava here for the big ones, lava here for the medium ones, and then all the small ones get killed in this lava. Yeah, this old texture is super crazy. It's like hot melted cheese. Anyway, the point wasn't to kill all of the slimes. The idea was just to reduce them to their smallest size, so then the player could kill them in an XP farm. And this idea comes from an old YouTubing friend of mine by the name of Red Eyes. He just proposed this idea to me one day and said, why don't we see what design you come up with and what design I come up with? And this right here is a clip from Red Eyes' video of his design in action. I've got to say that I really loved this contraption. It was so much fun to make. Not a single piece of redstone though, so make of that what you like. Also, what is up with the crazy big fire that you see every now and then? Minecraft bugs. Now, you've already seen a melon and pumpkin farm, but this is my absolute favourite redstone contraption, just because it's become a part of Hermitcraft lore. You see these towers behind me? This is the first Hermitcraft world, and it was in this area that I decided to make some communal farms. One of those being this glorious 5x5 vertical melon and pumpkin farm that has actually featured on every season of Hermitcraft since its inception here on Season 1. With the press of a button, the redstone activates, the pistons fire going all the way to the top of the farm, and then the drops fall down in the water making their way towards you. It's a really great design, and I had so much tremendous feedback at the time. This has always been one of my favourite contraptions. I think I might have set the standard too high with that lights out video. You know, I didn't make a lot of crazy redstone stuff. Here, for example, you can literally count the redstone dust involved. I was more of a functional contraption sort of player, and the redstone simply controls water streams that all funnel their way to another water stream, and it acts as a collection system for shearing all of these sheep. So they all get shuffled to the front, which makes it easier to shear them as well, and then all of the wool makes its way down to this collection spot. And if you've ever watched Asuma's World or seen the underground wool farm, you'll recognise this design right here. It was basically very similar to that world. And this was the third iteration of this design. I'd actually already made 2 videos on this, but this was definitely the better of all 3 designs. Now we arrive in Minecraft 1.4, and this contraption is a little bit on the clever side. And I say that because in the next update, hoppers would be introduced to the game, but we were looking for a way to store our items without having to put them into chests or do anything ourselves. Now this would start with getting some zombies from a mob spawner, and then the ones with the ability to pick up items would pick up the pumpkin resting on this pressure plate, and that means that they can't despawn, and that they can also then hold a stack of items from whatever farm you have hooked up to this system. Now, I know it's not as good as hoppers, but it was a way to do things before they were introduced. So here we go. Push the block across, kill all the zombies, and then you have all your items to pick up and use for whatever you want. This, my friends, is the cab, the compact animal breeder. This was the moment where, after all those years of moving mobs around in minecarts and separating the offsprings with elaborate contraptions, we realised that you could just put the mobs into a 1x1 hole. Now, I don't actually know what the piston here was for. This was so long ago, I can't remember, but I do remember that you used the water to bob them up and down. You could then breed them, and once you had their numbers up a little bit, you could go down below and attack them through this gap. Yes, I know, it's very cruel. You can make all your PETA jokes in the comments down below. Hey, this is just a game after all. So 1.5 arrives, and with the introduction of hoppers, we created this automatic chicken farm, where you have chickens up top to collect the eggs, and then they get dispensed down below, and with the activation of a lever and some lava, you can cook them and collect all of their drops. Once again, yep, it's very cruel. Now, this one's not to be confused with the other chicken farm video that I made. It ended up becoming the first video on my channel to hit 1 million views, and to this day it's very popular. However, you might not know, it wasn't the original. I actually created this one first, and it was later on that when we updated the design that it became a hit on the channel. And speaking of hits, here's another video that kind of went semi-viral. It was very popular on my channel. And it was all based on a bug. This is the piston chest, and sometimes you can see the chest inside of the piston, and sometimes you can't. But with a little bit of redstone, you can set up a T flip-flop that allows you to access the chest and get the belongings inside. And then when we activate it again, there's a really cool animation of the minecart bobbing up and down, but then you can't access the chest again. Now, I discovered this goofing around in my test world with these two elements, and when I saw it, I was like, Eureka, this will make a really cool contraption. But now I'm thinking, we gotta go find that old test world and see where I first discovered this. Well, I am kind of super sad right now because I used to have two worlds like this, one full of contraptions that I showed off in my videos, and another where I just did a bunch of testing stuff, and that thing was filled to the brim with all kinds of crazy experiments, but I believe I lost it, and I'm someone who makes backups, and this is why you should make backups of everything. I kind of failed here. Now let's not get too hung up on that and move on to the next one, a contraption I absolutely love. When the ability for dispensers to equip armor was added into the game, I came up with this right here. It can be flush with the wall, so you can simply walk up to the spot with the pressure plate, get pushed in, and you know what happens? You get pushed back out, but you're equipped with your armor. It's a really cool contraption, and as you can see, I compacted all of the redstone into a really neat layout that pretty much used up every little block inside of this space. Now, I'm guilty of making contraptions and then never actually using them in my survival base. And if ever there was a contraption that deserved to be in one of my bases, it was the water and lava doors. Just check this out. So elegant and simple, and pretty quick to reset as well. Now, it works with water, and over here you can see it will work with lava as well. So all you got to do is walk through, and then when you hit the pressure plates on the other side, it resets. The lava, though, is a little bit slower, but that's understandable. And this is a video that's supposed to be about the redstone, so here is the circuit. This one's kind of like super compact and simple and pretty elegant overall. What we have next is another armor equipper, and you can clearly see a mess of redstone behind me here. And I can't even remember if this got the job done or not, so let's find out. It's a little bit on the slow side, and yeah, it actually worked. That's pretty cool. So this was my horrendous redstone, and then I reached out to Mumbo Jumbo and I said, Mumbo, can you compact this? And you know what the answer to that question is. Of course it's yes. Now this will seem really silly, but I just love the idea of getting pushed up into the ceiling, equipped with your armor, and then dropping back down again. It looks so cool. And I remember the tutorial for this one being a little bit difficult because it's kind of hard to explain someone else's redstone, but as you can see, Mumbo managed to squeeze a lot into a small space, and this was so much better than the one I came up with. So here is another quirky little idea that I adore. I called this one the Inception door, and I later recalled it the Exhibit door because it's a door inside of a door. So it all seems pretty harmless and simple, but if you were to stand in the correct position, which is right here, and then press the button, you will go down to a secret entrance. And this was based on a bug where you could fall through pistons. And so with some redstone engineering around here, yeah, all of this mess made that possible. Here's a little bit of advice. Don't build your redstone out of dirt. It looks absolutely ugly and it will make it difficult to explain what's going on later on. But anyway, we're now in 1.7 and I've got my skin back apparently. Now clearly this has something to do with music because there's note blocks, so let's get this one going. What you're hearing right now is the Hadaway song What Is Love, a 90s classic, and me and my buddy Kralis from Hermitcraft love this song, and so I decided to prank him by building this inside of his base. So whenever he wanted to hear his favourite song in Minecraft, he could just hit that button and get the night blocks going. So what's next for Minecraft? 1.8 and slime blocks. Redstone forever revolutionised once again. And of course, with my love of armor equippers, we had to make a bouncy one. So now you go down into the ground, get pushed back up, and I wasn't equipped, but I am stuck inside of the block. So there wasn't actually armor inside of the dispensers, but after trying to get this contraption to work over here, it wasn't equipping me, the player, and that's very strange because I'm pretty sure I'm using the same version of Minecraft I created this in, but apparently it is not so. You know what? I'm just going to show you a clip from the old video to prove that it did work. And this looks really cool because it's from the third person as well. And to comment on the redstone that once upon a time did work, yeah, it's pretty compact. There's not a lot going on here. It gets the job done without a crazy amount of redstone. Now that was a really cool flush with the floor contraption, and here's another one. Walk onto the piston and you'll fall through it. This was based on the ability for a piston to be budded, meaning it's incorrectly powered, and then string passing an update to the piston. I really kind of miss that functionality. This is super cool. Anyway, as you can see, a bunch of redstone then activates around it to reset the contraption. So earlier in the video, I showed you the piston chest, and at this point in the game, I think that was no longer possible, which led me to create this contraption. A block swapper that puts stairs next to the glass pane so it doesn't connect, but then it allows you to click on here, subscribe. Oh yeah, and get all of your goodies. So then you can swap the block back, keep your chest on display, but now it's locked and you can't right click on it. I've got to say, this is a really cool contraption. Why don't I use things like this more? And behind me, the redstone could possibly be compacted. This kind of looks a little bit unnecessary to me. But anyway, it's just a simple block swapper. And of course, the glass doesn't connect to the stairs. Now, every redstoner loves their slime blocks, and you might have noticed a theme. There was a lot of redstone going on my channel around the 1.8 update. And this was my absolute favourite of those. A secret entrance, except it's up there. You got to hold down forwards. Well, that was kind of a fail. This time I'm actually holding down forward and walking through to the back of the secret entrance. Once again, I'm just going to show you a clip of the original video because I had the camera count and the third person view, and you can see how awesome this is from the third person. Now I'm going to rate this redstone and say it looks complicated, but it is. And it's actually really compact. I spent a lot of time on my old plot world working on this device over and over again. And after lots of iterations, this was about the most compact you could actually get it to work. And let's just see everything in action for a second here. There you go. A lot going on all at once, but it gets the job done. Ah, yes, and the reason these blocks go down and then back up again is so that they don't get stuck to the slime block itself. Yeah, that was kind of a big deal. Now we are in Minecraft 1.9, and this took like a year and a half to update. It was a crazy long time. But it also introduced a bug with entities and pistons that we took advantage of, and I came up with two different mob farms for this. So you've seen the concept before. The animals bob up and down in water, we breed them and create babies. But what's different here is that then we can zap the babies across to the other side. Just like that. And then when they grow into adults, they will be inside of the lava above and get cooked. If I press this button here, we'll actually summon in a baby that turns into an adult. And there it goes. And then it will get cooked and all of its drops will end up in the hopper. And yeah, there you go. You could also do this for pigs as well, but because they had a different height, it meant it was tricky to make it work with lava. So there's no lava over on that side, but same concept again. You can bob them up and down and breed them. You then use the piston to separate the baby pigs, and this time you have to wait for them to grow up. So we can simulate that with this command block, bringing in some that are about to grow into adults, and then all of the drops end up in this chest. Unfortunately, those bug exploits eventually got patched out, but then we got the observer block. We are now in Minecraft 1.11, and with the introduction of the observer block, I was able to compact a really old concept, the on-off nether portal, having buttons to control if your nether portal is going to be active or disabled. And here is the redstone. Once again, not a lot, but I revel in this. Compactness is awesome. So this right here can activate a dispenser once for the flint and steel, and this setup right here will do it twice for the lava, and of course that's what breaks the portal. Now this next redstone contraption needs some explaining, because clearly there is a lot to look at. Up the top here we have cats sitting on top of chests to get the creepers to run away and fall into a water stream, and as you can see it's really efficient. We've got lots of creepers falling down. Now they fall down to a spot where a skeleton is trying to shoot this iron golem, and if ever there were no creepers there, the water would stop the arrows from actually hitting it. So that skeleton then produces records. And that is because a creeper killed by a skeleton does exactly that. So then all of the records get brought over here through this item elevator. And apparently we got absolutely loads of them there, just sitting around waiting to be sorted. And that is what this redstone contraption is, an automatic record sorter. Although it does require some player interaction, it can sort out all of the records. So we get our records from this dropper, which we stand in front of, and then we hold down right click on the jukebox, And then we wait for the minecart to return after it's put it in the correct spot, and we get our next record. Now this specific bit of redstone isn't too much to look at, but basically it detects when the record has been put in and then taken out. And when it's taken out, that's when it activates the rail, creates a little bit of a timer for the dispenser over here to produce another record. This next bit of redstone engineering is a slime block elevator to take you up and down between floors. And I don't think I've seen a better use of this terracotta block to this date. That's perfect, no need for a sign. And if you were to lay out the buttons a little differently, above and below, the redstone actually works out being a lot more compact. As you can see, this is very slim. But the original redstone was a little bit more messy. Quite a lot of confusing bits and bobs oriented in particular directions. But it did indeed work, and the best way I can show you is just with a clip from the original video. Again, the third-person view of contraptions like this is always the way to go, and as you can see, really easy to navigate up and down between the floors. Now they say it's good to go out on a bang, and I think that was the best of my older redstone contraptions. Many of you have probably seen the new stuff. And the reality is, it's been a long time since I've just been goofing around in a test world messing with redstone. This is my plot world server and one of the many places that I jammed around with redstone ideas, and it is full of things that never saw the light of day, like this weird contraption. I can't even remember what it does. But anyway, I think that's where we're going to wrap up this video, and in the description box down below will be a link to the tutorials playlist where you can find most of the things featured in this video. So if you enjoyed it, then leave a like, and be sure to check out the other video that's on the end screen right here that I mentioned earlier. But that's it from me, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.